But next we have a fantastic local conservationist working hard with seals just down the road from us. So I'd like to introduce Sarah.
Sarah, we've given you rights to host now, so you can share your screen.
Bear with me for some reason. Right, give me a sec. Okay. Have you got me or no?
We can see your face, but not your screen.
Give me a clue. How do I
So
share
there's
the
a
screen?
share screen button, and then if you've got any videos, just make sure to click the optimize for videos button.
No, you're good on that one. It's just, yeah, there we go. Okay. You got me?
Perfect. Off you go.
Excellent. Okay. Hi. I'm Sarah from the Seal Project, a small conservation charity in Brixham on grey seals. I feel like a slight fraud coming in after the two guys I've just listened to. They've been amazing, and it does make me realise we have an awful lot of issues in our world, and we live in, we live in a very beautiful part of the world, but we don't necessarily appreciate an awful lot that goes on around. And all I can say is gill nets are horrendous. I have released a dolphin a couple of months ago in the bay here from gill nets, and it gave us the most beautiful bouncing thank you as it went off when we released it, but it could have been so different. Anyway, so I'll get back to me. Yeah, so here we go. Back in 2016, I've always lived around the coast, didn't really know about seals, and pretty much the Seal Project is grey seal based. But what started me off was this little character who was in a local seawater pool on one of my morning walks with a friend of mine. We've had deers jump out of the woods at us. We've encountered nude men in windows, and on this particular occasion, sorry, I don't know why this is doing this, we encountered a small common seal who was in the pool. We didn't know who to call at 5:30 in the morning. Nobody answered the phone. We probably did totally the wrong thing, but we didn't physically touch it ourselves. We got one of our partners to bring down a fleecy blanket, wrapped it up, carried it down to the sea. There was another seal there. We assumed it was its mother. To be fair, it was totally the wrong thing to do, but we didn't know what else to do. In our eyes, it was going to be attacked by a dog-walking dog, so we thought we were doing the best thing. As a result of this, I then trained to be a British divers marine life oh crikey, can't say that to save my life. British Divers Marine Life Rescue Marine Mammal Medic. And I've not looked back. It has totally changed my world in the last 5 years, and as a result I also do seal identifications for Cornwall Seal Group Research Trust, and I'm slightly obsessive. I know most seals in the area just by their little faces. These creatures are amazing, and we do, ironically, since I've run this presentation, I was looking at this little common thinking, do I know it now? Because we have come across a few, so I need to look into this one. So yes, so I'm a medic for BDLMR, and as a result, two medics met as friends and turned the idea of observing seals in our local area into a project, which is what we've done. So we created the Seal Project, and as a result we now collaborate obviously quite widely with other like-minded groups, and we are now part of the Seal Alliance, which was set up last year. So that covers not only UK-based projects, but Seal Rescue Ireland, and there's even a group in France that are part of this. So we're trying to engage people in the watch seals well, and look after them carefully, and give them space. So this is our hometown. It doesn't look, there's lots of beautiful places in the world. This is a beautiful place. It is also a marina, so it's a tourist area, but it's also alongside one of the largest by commercial value fishing ports in the country, and the wooden structure around the marina that protects the marina over the winter becomes a not a massive seal haul out location. I'm sorry, there's some button going on here that I'm not quite sure about, but it becomes a very popular seal haul out location. And so as a result, this is the place we do most of our monitoring. We record all the seals, all the sightings, and we have these are probably the most protected seals you will ever get, because they are on a private part of the marina. They have 24-hour security, and nobody can get to them unless they are on a boat. So obviously they have the ability then to escape very quickly. So this is how we see them. We generally see them obviously from land. So we use the marina. We have full access to the marina, so we can observe them. I record the seals daily, which is slightly obsessive, I suppose, but it's fantastic. And we occasionally have drone access as well. So this is effectively the same shot of the same seals. A lot of people who record seals are doing this off cliffs, especially in like Cornwall. They are overhead. So what we are getting here is quite unusual. We're not accessing these particular guys by boat, and yeah, so it's amazing. They cannot be disturbed, and in fact, the guys on the fishing quay will be welding. The fishing boats come in and out at speed. The seals do take no notice. They are not disturbed by the noise. And if you've ever encountered the seals in Cornwall or in other places of the world, a slight cough or a noise will disturb them. In Brixham, they react very differently. It's quite strange, and quite bizarre to watch. We've been there when there has been a sounding of horns for some memorial, and the seals have literally lifted their heads and done nothing else, yet you know full well in somewhere else it would have caused a whole stampede. It's quite amazing to see. So these are the guys we record, and I know most of these individually. So the one at the top, he's called Gary. He's a young juvenile male, probably about 3-4 years old now, a bit of a playful character. The female across the bottom, laying across the girder, she is known to us here and in Cornwall, and she's been known since about 2014, and that's as an adult female. So actually, she's obviously, our records aren't that old. But she has been, known for quite some time, and she's a regular visitor, and she visits throughout the year. So as most of these guys only hang out here in the winter months, she still does this in the summer. And actually, when she's around, because the tourist boats slow down to go past her. The little chap in the corner is Easter Bunny, and I'll get to him in a bit, but he is my little favorite. So okay, so this is what we do. We monitor them. Most days I go out before work and record the seals around the area in which we live in, which is a small town in South Devon. And some days it's good, some days you see nobody. Other days it's I'm late to work. And we also record all the sightings. So it's not just the numbers, it's each individual seal, any injuries, any wounds, and all the disturbances. And if we go out on boats, we do have a survey boat. We're very lucky now. We can record from offshore as well as onshore, but we do stake out places. As you can see, that's me in the corner on a slightly rainy day hiding out. But it's all worth it. Everything we record is a valuable sighting. And the more data we get, the more we learn about each individual seal, and I am learning quite a lot. So this is our survey boat. We bought this last year just before we all went into the world's lockdown, and this boat ironically is just about to come back out from a bit of maintenance and TLC that we've had to have done to her. But it gives us not a huge area. By listening to the guys before me, you guys have, you know, oceans and oceans, but we have a small area, and we have a small seal population, but we also have dolphins, porpoises, seabirds, all sorts, and we have a lot of disturbance. So us just having this boat means we create a presence that we wouldn't otherwise have had. As a seal recording charity, that's fine, but what we've got now by having the boat has made us a slightly different entity, and our Operation Cetacean have come out with us. So, you know, we'd like to help whoever we can. We can't do this as taking out paying passengers. We can take out other like-minded people, because to engage in the wildlife and observe the wildlife that we're all interested in. And it just means that we do know people do contact us to tell us different things, and get us to check out different things, and we can see obviously a lot more from the sea than we can from the land. And if we could all give up the day jobs, it would all be a lot better. But we record everything we can, and we've got cameras of all kinds, and we do the best we can to make sure we are looking after our wildlife, because this is a lot of what we see. The female to the top left is Sammy. Most seals are called Sammy, but this one unfortunately is, and she's an adult female, and this is her daily audience, and she's already hooked. We've got fishing hooks in her mouth and stuff. That's fairly normal. The second picture is unfortunately a registered trip jet skier, and we did have words, so that's kind of hopefully sorted. The other seals are on rocks that are disturbed daily, and we have had so many calls already, and we've not even hit school out season. And the picture at the bottom is of a seal who thankfully has moved on and has molted, so I think we've confused a lot of people, but he was unfortunately harassed a lot, and we have quite a few people we can call on to check on him for us. But as with everything, health and safety won't allow us to put anything around him at a distance, but he's moved on. He does actually travel between a couple of different counties, and last year he was in a different county. He does, however, like to join swimmers and paddleboarders, so I'm hoping with his first molt he's realised he's a seal, and he does seem to have changed his behaviour lately, unless he's turning up somewhere else, which might be an area where nobody records what we do. So, you know, he could be being an absolute nightmare somewhere, but nobody's noticed. So the thing is, obviously with lockdown, water-based activities are increasing because nobody's going anywhere. I mean, I've got kayaks, paddleboards, and I sea swim, but so is everybody else. I know when to back off from these guys, and I love them dearly, and you just have to appreciate that they are wild. And I think, unfortunately, their cute, cuddly little look and their eyes doesn't help at times. Even a friend of mine today was out on a wild swim, and she was approached by a seal, but she said, "I didn't panic, I remained calm, I swam back to shore." Perfect. I mean, that's all we want, you know. The seals are not doing anything wrong, it's their place. We are just using everywhere they use, and we have to respect that. Unfortunately, kayaks and paddleboards are very silent, so we all know they've got good hearing. If they're approached by a motorboat or a jet ski, they know it's coming. They might not like it and they still panic, but unfortunately, kayaks and paddleboards, if you're not talking or making a noise, they don't know. That's when the damage can occur to them. And I have observed seals on surveys that have actually been perched so far up rocks, it worries me, and we approach very carefully when we're on our boat. So yeah, it's unfortunately, with everybody staying in the UK this year, just because you're holidaying in a country you live in doesn't mean to say you appreciate the wildlife around our shores, because you might not be anywhere. You know, I've got family myself that do not live near the beach, so when they come here they have no idea. So it's trying to work out how we educate people to respect and appreciate what we have to look after. As a wild swimmer, I now know that by the time you see a seal, it's probably spent quite a bit of time checking you out anyway. But they are amazing. I don't, you know, they are beautiful. So if anybody doesn't know, these creatures, I think I converted this and actually frightened myself earlier, because I'm not very good with the old kilograms, but when I converted it into stones, I did frighten myself, and if I got that wrong, I am very sorry. But 50 stones, that's a lot. It makes me feel a little bit better about my weight. But this, the bottom here is the same seal that's in the top picture, when it's very well fed and very well looked after. And I can say that this seal did survive last winter, and was looked after very well. We observed them for a few weeks from a distance, and it's amazing to see these creatures. We watch them go through a heavy storm, people on the beach, people approaching the beach from every angle possible, even on a rope, and yet they still survived. They do face such a battle just to get through those first few weeks. So I really hope this little youngster is having a lovely life. And the misconceptions. I love bottling. I know I think the RNLI were actually called out to a dead seal that was actually just sleeping. And the logging, I have awful eyesight, and even me and my friends, different people I go out walking with, have had to struggle to identify, is it a seal or is it a log? Is it a seal or is it a log? It's lifted its head, it's definitely a seal, and others, they're not. And then this one is at the bottom, the curious one. No, it's not going to kill you. It's just trying to check you out. But it did make the person on the kayak look very startled for a few seconds. But this is what we're trying to get through to people at the moment through education: is they do have claws and they do have teeth, because everybody wants to cuddle seals. So starting them young. This is my little nephew, and my little first books for him have got marine mammals in it. So I aim to educate him very quickly, even though he does live inland. But we've done talks in schools, and by showing them the netting, and all the fishing gear that you find, all the litter. I've got crisp packets from 1995. Their parents probably weren't born at that point. You know, it's gutting. It's hard to explain. And we have done a local show. It's known as the Devon County Show. It's mostly farming based, but we went there as a ocean discovery zone tent, and it's litter. Children are very aware of litter picking and stuff like that, but actually they're not used to seeing netting, fishing lines and nets. So to them to get hands on with that sort of stuff gives them a better idea of what we're dealing with. This was my first British Divers Marine Life Rescue Marine Mammal Medic call out, and nobody's had one quite the same since. This seal was speared back in 2017, and for 2 weeks I got called out of work to follow her around the bay. It was devastating, because everybody would say, well, can't you catch her? Can't you dart her? Well, you can't, because of the dive reflex. She would drown. If we netted her, she could paralyze herself. It was a watch and wait. It was horrendous. But we know after a few weeks she was fine. The spear somehow came out. I don't know how she dislodged it, and I don't know what damage it has done to her, but we see her every summer. I saw her about 2 weeks ago, and she always appears in the same place. She's a very lucky seal, and quite something I never want to witness again. But she ironically is very wary of humans. And she doesn't join the others on the wave screen, so she has a different style she has a different social style to the others. And this is her now. She's got the most beautiful markings, but she does stay away from interacting with many others. And this one, this is my current favourite. I shouldn't have one, and I know naming seals and things and stuff is controversial, but this is Easter Bunny. Last April we didn't realise we'd already met him before, a few weeks before, with another seal, but I don't know if you can see, but there's a letter A to his mid body there, and to the, I'm not quite sure which way around we're looking at this. So to one side there is a stood up bunny rabbit. You have to use a little bit of poetic license on this, but obviously we recognise seals via their fur patterns, their pelage, and so you have to look for shapes, images, letters, all the rest of it. And this guy obviously was entangled in industrial strength plastic, and for a week we couldn't get to him, because unless they're weak, they are not going to turn up and let you actually go anywhere near them. And this is him. He's a singer and a bit of a yoga expert. A week after we saw him, he reappeared on the Easter Sunday, and so because of the bunny shape in him and the fact that it was Easter Sunday, we called him Easter Bunny. But he's a bit of a cool dude. He hangs out in the same space. We have 16 months worth of data on this little chap, and he pretty much stays in the same spot. Couple of times over Christmas he socialized with a few of the others that were hanging out around the corner, but that was about it. Didn't like to get involved with the youngsters, and this is him now. He has gone through a full molt, and if I hadn't observed him, I'd have thought we got an imposter on his spot. So he is pretty cool. I think because crazy holiday season has turned up, he has decided to go elsewhere, which is a good thing. But hopefully he'll come back. But I now know who I'm looking for, because I wouldn't have done if I hadn't seen him go through his molt. But because of him, he inspired us to do a litter pick. It's just on a wave break. So it's the breakwater, so it's all rocks. So a lot of the debris is in underneath. But we collected 226 bin bags of marine litter, including crisp packets from 1995. It was 1995. Crazy stuff. There was loads of stuff we probably could have kept and we should have done to prove what we'd achieved, but it didn't touch the tip of the iceberg at all. We could do this 1,000,001 times over. But and this is just another one of the scenarios. This was after a easterly storm, and this is one of the seals just lying there amongst what had gone down from a pontoon in the marina. And none of all of that is probably, a lot of that is still probably in there. So this was just a morning's work. So this is us at the Devon County show. We took our skeletons, Arthur, Juliet and Flame, on tour, their first outing, and oh my god, I was like a very nervous mother leaving them out overnight. Their stories will follow. This was the team. We joined forces with Sea Dream and part of Plymouth University. We had a marquee, and we showed our stuff with the British Divers Marine Life Rescue and the jellyfish surveys. We've had a fantastic, very, very tiring 4 days, hence I've got a very gravelly throat, so I apologise for that. Okay, so this is Flame. I don't think I've actually got a picture of her front flipper on here. I might have. It's been a very long day, but this was our poster girl when we started the seal project, and she was the most gorgeous seal. And we get called out to deceased seals, and unfortunately we got called out to one I knew, and it was her, and I knew from a distance. And I know you're not meant to get attached to these creatures, but you do. I can see from you guys naming the whales and stuff, it doesn't matter how hard you try, you get an attachment to them. And Flame was special. She was just magical. And she only got as far as 18 months, but we have her front flipper, which was a bit odd, but it's a step up from taking photos, but we've got something we can prove to show that these guys do have claws. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's her. I held her hand, bless her. So that's her front flipper, and we took that with us to the show. And this is Juliet. It's the only picture I can really share, but this is a preterm pup. We had a call out from somebody who knew of us, and I swear if the tide had been half an hour different, we would never have encountered this one, but she was still in her birth sac, and very, very freshly still in it. So we brought her home, and this is her now. Her joints hadn't quite formed properly, so as you can see, they're not perfect. They are window board, but as a learning resource and something that we will never encounter again, hopefully, we have Juliet to take out, and well, she's had her first outing this weekend, so she's had her first festival, and so you think, okay, this is cool, we've done this. It wasn't pleasant, and then we met this guy. We got called out to Arthur, and he was about a 4-month-old grey seal on a local beach, literally 2 minutes from where we live. And if he'd have woke up in the bag, I wouldn't have been surprised. He was that fresh. And this is him now. And quite a lot of fun actually trying to telling people that we were going to call him Martha, but actually he's Arthur, and we've made a few men blush. But actually I have never done any of this stuff before, but we have painstakingly put this chap back together. Ironically, in this picture he doesn't have his nails on him. I must have been in the middle of a manicure for them. He has polished nails, but we have the perfect 1.1 meter skeleton of a grey seal, fully intact, no injuries, to take to schools, to take to wherever. He's, like I say, he's just spent 3 days at a festival, and it's made people think, because I think locally we have had a couple of seals that people are petting or wanting to pet, and then wondering why they get like kind of bitten or whatever. They need to appreciate these guys are from a very young age capable of being, well, they are wild animals and capable of proving that, and they have teeth and claws. And I think we've shown quite a lot of people that over the weekend. Okay, so let's go on to nice stuff. Lucille, because we liaise with Cornwall Seal Group Research Trust, we have seals we know and recognise, and Soothsayer is like obviously my seal god, and she knows all sorts of stuff. And I posted a picture on the right of a seal on our wave screen in Brixham, hanging out, chilled out, accepting noise and boats moving, and it turned out it's a seal from Lou in Cornwall, who does travel all the way around to the North Devon coast. Now the crazy part with this is I have been to Cornwall and spent a lot of time down with Sue surveying and stuff, and if you're down there and you cough, these seals freak out and stampede into the sea. So what makes them behave differently in different locations? Why would she suddenly relax in a busy marina and busy fishing port when in Cornwall, if one stampedes, they all stampede? I don't know. I don't know a lot. There's a lot to be learnt. And this one is a little beggar, literally. She's called Flower. At the moment, currently on TV as Bob, but she's an adult female, and because of the distinctive marking to the side of her face, she was spotted begging in Padstow in North Cornwall. Now that was kind of impressive in itself, but the most impressive part was she made it back to Brixham in 3 days, because we have the photo to prove it. And so that's like about 60-70 miles a day. So she quite plainly didn't come along the M5 or whatever. She went all the way around. So this is what us spending time studying the photos, studying the patterns is doing for us. It's giving us information that we wouldn't have otherwise. And then we get tagged seals. This particular one was called Pippi Longstocking, which is why I remember the most. But she was an ex-rescued seal, rescued in December 2019, and then released early 2020 in Cornwall. And we saw her last summer in Devon. So she was having quite a nice time. And then we had another one who we saw again last summer, slightly further up the coast, and it turned out she was released in France a couple of years before, so she'd had a bit of a trek across the channel. So that's really cool. I don't know how they all interacted with each other, but that was brilliant. And then the latest one is this one, Fish Fingers. We saw her a few weeks ago, and it turned out she was rescued on New Year's Eve and released 3 months later, and she had an easy tag to read, and we were able to find out exactly who and where she was, where she come from. So yeah, look, pretty chilled. And actually, if I showed you the photo, she was quite a way up. So this is unfortunately one of the adult Sammy from one of the earlier pictures. This is her this year, and this is already probably not the first time this has happened to her, because she is habituated. She will climb on the steps near the anglers, and everybody, ironically, we spoke to a lot of people over this festival over the last couple of days. She is very well known to everybody, and they go, oh yeah, she's really friendly, she climbs up the steps. Yes, none of this is doing her any good, quite plainly. And then we had another Sammy. This little bold beige character appeared in South Devon, and thankfully he's moved on, but also even more thankfully he's molted, so people aren't going to recognize him now. And it seems he's hopefully learned to be a seal. I think I mentioned him earlier, so hopefully he will stay away from our shores, and I think he's heading for about 18 months, 2 years old. So fingers crossed he's going to just chill out with other seals and this winter interact and stop climbing up beaches and heading towards people and dogs, because then trying to tell humans and people to keep their dogs on a lead becomes very difficult when he approaches them. So this is a part of the message we are involved in with the Seal Alliance. Give seals space and watch them well. It's very difficult sometimes, because if they look at you, you only look back. But the idea is give them space, let them rest. And unfortunately, because we're in a staycation situation, they are going to run out of space. And all the adult females are obviously pregnant. So disturbance and actually them finding places to be where they're left alone is going to become a lot trickier. But we'll do all we can to keep our eye on that. And obviously, as Laura and Stu know, that we have some amazing wildlife, and it's been a bit quiet lately, although while I've been doing the Devon County show, there seems to have been nothing but dolphins in the bay. But we are very lucky. We have probably had the best staycation and lockdown to most people, because we live on the shore and we get to check out it daily. And these are some of the amazing things we get to see. So thank you. I think that's probably me done. Thank you very much.